you're only working in your physical form and not on your internal form and your mental state, these problems will just arise in your next relationship. Hi everybody, welcome back to Unveiling Thoughts with Astra. Today's another episode about relationships and love. So lately I've been doing a lot of these, which is why I'm just going to continue with this. And I'm actually going to talk about how to stop being so attached to a person, along with a place and things. So I want to start off by saying that being attached to anything is completely normal. And actually we are humans, and humans are bound to be attached, and we're bound to become dependent on somebody. This is very normal. So if you're feeling like, I don't know why I can't stop feeling so attached to a specific place or someone, that is not because something's wrong with you. It is just that you are taking a longer time to process something. So you're healing something within yourself. So the first thing is to just accept. So accepting that this is normal, accepting the fact that it's going to take some time, because the sooner you accept it, the more easier it will become to get rid of it, because you'll get rid of this attachment faster by realizing that it's there. So in order to get rid of something, you have to be able to let yourself admit that something is there. And even the fact that you're watching this video that's about attachment shows that you know and you are aware that you're attached to something or someone, and that it's time to stop. Even though it is very normal to be attached to someone, it also becomes normal to wanting to stop being attached to something or somebody. And now in order to detach yourself from it, after admitting to yourself that you are still attached, is to quite literally attach yourself to something else. Now this may sound silly, because the whole time I keep talking about how you should not let yourself distract by somebody else, and that's the same. This remains the same. Don't attach yourself to somebody else immediately, because that means you're not actually getting rid of that attachment. And don't become a workaholic and trying to get rid of that, but instead become attached to yourself. So become attached with the fact that you are now alone, getting attached to the fact that you are the best person for yourself, and attached with how you're going to make yourself better and your life better. Because as soon as you start putting all this attachment that you had into one person, you start putting it on yourself, it will be a shift. It will be a huge shift, because also from that moment on, you will then be able to heal yourself from yourself. You don't need to do any crazy workouts. You don't have to lose any weight. You don't have to binge eat. You don't have to start a new job. You don't have to change a lot of things about yourself, which is what many people think that you have to do. So many people think that once you are attached to somebody and this attachment is broken, so you're dependent on somebody, it doesn't make sense to just distract yourself with a bunch of other things, right? Because really what that's going to do is that sometime in the future, whether that is 1 year from now or that is 10 years from now, past problems from this moment in time are just going to show up again. So the best thing to do is just to really live in this process, so that you never have to feel like that again, right? Until you meet someone else. Because that's another thing. I feel like many people think that because you've had one bad experience in being attached to someone means that you're never going to be attached to someone again, or that you don't even want that, which is so not true. You don't want that, because if you look back at it, the reason you were attached is because you had good attachment. So like you have good feelings towards something. So those are positive things that are in your life. Obviously, if it was toxic and things like that, there are some things that you have to figure out within yourself, which is what was it inside of you that was actually liking this relationship. So what I mean by that is, if you were stuck in a toxic relationship and it took you some time to get out of, you need to look back at the things and look at, when did you realize that it was toxic, and was it because of them, or were they toxic from the beginning and you just took some time to notice that? Because if there are certain things in your character, in who you are, that is attracting you to these particular type of people who are toxic, there is something in yourself that you have to fix in order to not be attracted to those people again. So you kind of need to figure out like what it is that attracts those type of people to you. Is it issues from your parents, past relationships, whatever? because there are some things that we subconsciously don't realize are attracting us to these bad people. So if that's the case, if you were in a bad relationship and something that was not good, and you still have sentimental feelings about it, you still have good feelings about it, you have to look back at the things that, what was it that was making me ignore the things that were bad for me? Was it the feeling of being afraid to be alone? Because this is a most common one. So if you are afraid to be alone, then we tend to ignore all these red flags because you'd rather suffer in a toxic relationship than be alone. But being alone can be the best way to start building a relationship with yourself in order to then get the best relationship. So in order to not be lonely, you have to be lonely at some point, is basically what I'm trying to say, because that's how we've all started. So as I said in my previous video, which was literally about how to keep a good relationship, I basically preach that you have to be yourself and do things for yourself. And in this case, it's the same thing. You have to just put all the attention you had on this person, you have to put it on yourself and why you left. And you have to really work on yourself, because I think that people just look at like different ways how to get over someone, trying a relationship with somebody else and doing crazy dieting, you know, trying to get the best shape, which of course getting in good shape and being healthy is part of working on yourself, which is something that's very good in our community that we like to support. Like, yeah, once you know, are attached to someone and this relationship's broken, you should go and work out on yourself. However, if you're only working on your physical form and not on your internal form and your mental state, these problems will just arise in your next relationship. Either way, it's all about fixing yourself before you can even step into heading to your next relationship, which is why everybody says to take some time to be yourself, because you need to process this whole thing that happened, whether this was years, months, or only weeks. Do you need to take time to process things in order to just completely let go of all of that to then move on into a better relationship? So my mistake, which you can learn from me, is that after the first time where I was heavily attached to somebody, heavily attached to things they were doing, even though they were not the right person for me, I was scared to be alone, because it was the first time that I felt like somebody really liked me, even though they didn't. This is how I felt, because I was scared to be alone, which is what I again said, the main factor. If you're scared to be alone, you let a lot of things slide, and then you let yourself get attached, and then you let yourself get hurt. So the best thing is to just realize what it is, which fears do you have that are making you feel so attached to somebody when you know you shouldn't be. And this goes for opposite as well. So if you are currently in a place where you are scared of relationships because you got hurt from your past and you feel like, I'm not attached to that person anymore, I don't care, but I feel scared to go into the next one, this is what you need to work on as well. So fear of committing, fear of commitment, fear the things that they've done to hurt you or you've done to hurt them. These are things, again, you need to process in order to let that go, because you don't have to be afraid in a relationship. Just because you've had one bad one doesn't mean the next one's not going to be good and forever. That's what's important to remember, which is always motivating to hear, right? So just because you had one experience doesn't define the rest of your experiences. I would really just say to find, like, perhaps even write on a piece of paper all the things that you didn't like that your partner did, and write down then as well a list of things that you did in a relationship which you would change. Write down next to these reasons why you were in this relationship and where this is coming from. So where is this coming from? So for example, if you wrote in your list of how I acted or I reacted, you next to it write down, why did I react that way? So what triggered me? What was it that they did that made me mad? If you can't remember, then that's fine, but there's probably moments where you can remember when they said something that made you mad and you reacted a certain way which you're not proud of. Now you have to look back at what it was that they said or did that triggered you, and then on top of that, next to that, write why. Why do you feel like that? Because that's where the problem comes from. So it's really just about looking at the root of reaction. So for example, let's say that there was a fight about money. Your partner spent a lot of money on clothes. and you reacted badly about that, and now you regret acting badly like that. So next to it, you would say, one time I reacted aggressively towards my partner, and the next to it, you're gonna say it was because of clothes, and next to it, you're gonna say because I have a fear of money, I have a fear of not having enough abundance in my life, because that's actually the root problem. And so then when you've done this for a whole list, you know exactly what you have to fix, because those were the things that were blocking your relationship from blooming. I also want to say that if you are currently in a relationship and you're feeling like this and you're watching this video because you feel as though you want to break up with them and you want to get rid of that attachment, I want you to go through that list as well and first see if you can fix those things with your partner. Because a lot of times if you feel like you found the right person, but there's like a lot of things that they do wrong or you do wrong, it's fixable. So if you like look at this list of from their perspective and your perspective, and you kind of compare your lists, you can see what exactly that it is that you guys need to work on. And now to dive into a little bit with place. Obviously, as you get older, the easier it is to stop being so attached to places. It's not the same as relationships because places give us less value. But so for example, schools or jobs or homes, it's very easy to get attached to them because there's a lot of things surrounding that. So when I look back at it, I wasn't only sad about leaving, for example, Thailand, which was for me my hardest transition. So coming back from Thailand to Slovenia was the hardest place that I left. And it wasn't because I was only gonna miss Thailand, but I was gonna miss the friends, the school, my teachers, everything, the lifestyle, everything surrounding that. And what I would do now, if I were to look back at it, is that I would try to just realize that I'm only getting rid of the place. I'm not getting rid of the lifestyle, and I don't have to get rid of the friends and everything like that. And I think that's just a very comforting thought to have when you're moving or changing places, or you want to stop getting attached to a place, is that not everything about this place has to stop. So if, for example, a place reminds you of a relationship, just because you are getting rid of the relationship, the place hasn't changed. And I think by just detaching a lot of these things from the place, it will be a lot easier. That is it for the video. Thank you so much for listening. I'm gonna be back with another video on next Sunday. Let me know in the comments below what other videos I should do. This one was highly suggested, so I am going to probably continue with some more relationship videos. However, if you have any other suggestions, let me know, or even submit the form in my YouTube bio.